Hello. Here's my mic. One, two. Let's see. La. Okay. Welcome. People are arriving. I'm going to give people time to come in and then I'll start talking. I got you, Trouble. Give me 1 second. Water under the ground. I am water under the ground. Water under the ground. I am water under the ground. My God. I am blood. My eyes. Yeah. It's the working. I think we're good on the sound. Untie my tongue. What's up to the people in the room so far? Say untie my tongue. How y'all doing? Untie my tongue. Yeah. Say untie my tongue. My blood. My eyes. It's a little different than my videos because it's live. It's me. I ain't putting on no front. Just giving a few more people time to enter the room. Get in on a call before I get started. Let me know y'all can hear everything okay. Somebody put in the chat if you can hear everything okay. Y'all can hear me? Okay, good. Thank you. Oh, that's intentional. I'm gonna turn it down. Yes.
We never like domination. We realize all the time we waste. You realize all the pain we face. Please walk up feminine libation.
Hey.
My gosh, we raise.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to the room.
Please realize all the time.
Hey. Mighty energy.
Drink a cup of quarters on my course.
What's good?
If I rule the world, money stretch for all my daughters. Never ask for payment in the womb times 9. Now we see the blood on the street times try. Feminine energy, balance of the indestructible in the vaginal. Heaven in line, heaven is mine. Spiritual, lyrical, mother sings sweetest taboo with all kind. If I was astonished by the level of shame, feminine energy rain. Intuition and ambition, intuition turn. Intuition and ambition running through my veins. Pour out the love, let the healing begin.
Cause in peace ain't got nothing.
Cause in peace
ain't got nothing. Y'all, this is my first time going live on YouTube, so I gotta get used to it. Just gonna wait a little longer before I go in.
I beg you listen.
Before I go in.
I beg you open your ears for it. Waiting on listen.
Open your ears.
Waiting on the talk.
Are you ready to hear?
You're serious talk at the talk.
Hey.
Waiting on speaking. Listen. In this world we deal. Members say ya. One day go come. When we all go. Before long, we go meet Mama Godo. When we dey meet Mama Godo, tell me,
what thing you gonna say?
You go say. Freedom and life damnation.
What's good? What y'all saying? Yes. I love Sampa. Hey. My God.
Please sympathize all the lies we raise. Please realize all the time.
Hey.
See mighty energy. One shot, two shots. Carry all the weight of the world on your shoulders. Give a couple crowns to the woman who adores us. Focus, love and support us.
Just wait till this song finish. Then I'm gonna say what I need to say. I hope y'all stick and rock with me. Hey.
She sing a melody to pass the time. Give us her energy so she can mind. If I was astonished by the level of shame, feminine energy never shame again. Rain, change, brain, intuition and ambition running.
What's good, y'all? Let the healing begin. Let the healing begin. Let the healing begin. Let the healing begin. Energy. What's good, y'all? Let's take a deep inhale in. See, all this time I thought I was crying because I was hurt. Did y'all hear me? See, all this time I thought I was crying because I was hurt. I'm going to say it one more time. See, all this time I thought I was crying because I was hurt. Except now I realize I've been crying because my hurt was my worth. I've been crying because my hurt was my worth. I was made to preserve. Could lose everything I love and still make this shit work. Still make my ass twerk. Got skin tougher than any Marvel character. Spirit fuego, even in the most frio weather. Spirit fuego, even in the most frio weather. And yet this tale is hardly about me. But how close in the mirror, my darling, are you willing to see? My darling, are you willing to see? My darling, are you willing to see? 'Cause you could be the greatest, the greatest, the greatest, the greatest story ever told. You could be the greatest, the greatest, the greatest, the greatest story ever told. Did you hear the story about how Babylon come tumbling down? The people screaming and the walls come shrinking to meet the ground. Oh, what a sound when misery and joy compound, when demons flee and songs be found, when right and wrong is only now, when right and wrong is only now, when right and wrong is only now. What can you afford when there's nothing left to spend? Where can you run when all paths, all paths, all paths, all paths lead to within? What you're looking for is right in front of your face. 'Cause you could be the greatest, the greatest, the greatest, the greatest, the greatest story ever told. We could be the, we could be the, we could be the greatest story ever told. The greatest story ever told. The greatest story ever told. What's good, y'all? I stay clapping when I talk. But what's good, y'all? I am the Hood Alchemist. Welcome to my channel. This is my first live on YouTube. So if you are here, thank you so much. If you're not and you're watching it later, shout out to you as well. I'm still getting used to figuring out my flow with everything. So I'm sure as I do more of this, then the process will also grow. So, but I just had some stuff that I wanted to say, and I've been sitting in this battlefield of being like, do I express myself or do I just be quiet and sit back and watch, because to be in an age where we are learning to operate as healed people, not people who are healing or in the process of healing, but as healed people. Myself being in the process of being a healed healer, I'm having to really learn what it means to detach and to let people heal themselves and be where they at and be in a process and not sacrificing myself, while I'm trying to pull or hold on to somebody else. So it's taken me some time to really be like, do I need to say anything? But then I'm also like, y'all, I'm Black, and it's a lot of stuff happening in the world. And with my connection to I don't even like saying I'm Black. I say I'm indigenous, but socially and culturally in some ways, like obviously I'm Black, but I'm also learning what it means to step outside of that, especially when we're in a time and an age when we are in spiritual warfare, when we are trying to recognize what it means to detach, not even just recognize, but actually do it, detaching from patriarchy, detaching from white supremacy, detaching from these narratives that have kind of kept us shackled and bound up. And unfortunately, the identity of Blackness was birthed out of all of that. So as much as we cling to Blackness because it is all that we know, because it is all that we have had, Blackness is still something that is holding us back from completely embracing who we are, what all this skin, these bones, this body carries. And so, in having this conversation around whether or not you can face yourself, all of that has to come up, because in order to face yourself, you have to see who you are underneath it all. You have to see who you are underneath the trauma. You have to see who you are underneath the the social constructs. You have to see who you are underneath even gender, everything, all the labels, everything that we've given ourselves something to hold on to as a means to project and to perform in this material outside world. It's all in a lot of ways still shackles that are holding us down from just moving in our energy. I've been saying it with a few of the people that I've had sessions with, a few of my clients and people that I work with. It's been coming up a lot around this idea that as much as we are spiritual beings having a human experience, we wouldn't have to convince ourselves that we were spiritual beings if we didn't already know that. We wouldn't have to keep saying that. So even this idea of that is us not really paying attention to the part where it says learning to have a human experience. It is our job in this time with these bodies that we chose to learn how to be human, to learn how to connect to emotion, to learn how to be comfortable and at home in our bodies, because that's what it means to be human. It doesn't matter how gifted you are. It doesn't matter how, none of that. You have to know and understand what it means to live with inside this vessel. Period, point blank. Hey, y'all keeping up with me so far? It's a live chat, so obviously y'all can say stuff. If you got something to write, am I? Put a sun if you're with me. That's gonna be my version of an amen. Let me get a sun emoji if you feel what I'm talking about. Okay. But yeah, so being yourself in a world that is made to be fraud, because everybody's fraud, in my opinion. Most people are fraud, unless you are committing 200% of your work, your day, your time to actually be working, forgiving, healing, releasing on yourself. There are parts of you that are fraud, sweetie. It's not your fault. It just is. And the quicker you admit it, the quicker you can face that, the quicker you will be able to move on. So even when I'm asking you, can you face yourself? It's like, can you really be who you are outside of blaming other people? I wrote down some notes so I can, and I did get a little energy pull. There were some themes that came up around just what's happening right now, around forgiveness, around us surrendering and really making our burdens, our whatever, our ego, putting it in God's hands, really allowing God, the universe, however you connect with divinity, life. I call it life, because there is life within all of us. And if we just all connect to that life, to that love, to that frequency, you'll be okay. And the thing is, people have to recognize what it means to really make something God's. It means that you are letting go, you are accepting. Forgiveness is a form of accepting. To forgive is really allowing yourself to not only admit, but be accountable for what's happened, and just leave it at that. Not searching, not having some agenda around how you're willing to accept things. If you have an agenda, if you're like, I forgive you, but I forgive you, and then there's an agenda behind it. You haven't really allowed yourself to accept and let it go. And one of the main reasons why it's so hard for people to be themselves is because you haven't, first off, been real with yourself about who you are, participating in the fraudulence like everybody else, and also attaching your experience of yourself to other people's perceptions and perspectives of you. So if you spend most of your life hiding behind what other people think of you and how other people think you are and what your mother said you were and what your father said you were and what your past 5 relationships said about you, then it's like you're not giving yourself permission to actually see who you are and to be accountable for who you are and how things have shown up in your life. Like, for real. Like, I don't know. Part of my reason why I don't even be wanting to say nothing is because I'm like, I know y'all ain't willing to do the work. I know y'all not really willing to like take the time. And I don't mean y'all on the call, but as a collective, as a society, like as a consciousness, people are not willing to sit with themselves and be real with themselves. The whole world got put on lockdown. Even the money, they never put the money on lockdown. The money was put on lockdown, y'all. They said it's a wrap for you. And humans are still running around trying to be like, oh my God, let me do something. Let me be something. Let me find something else to distract myself with. Let me look and watch and do anything but sit here in this room with myself. We got sat down collectively. And people still running around searching for things outside of themselves as a means and a way to make you make sense. You're not going to make sense until you sit down and face what you've been running from. Okay? Period. That's not how it works. I got notes, but I can't never go with the notes because it just so much be coming to me. But essentially, the reason why it's hard for people to be themselves is because most people have a very high level of codependency that they operate from. Most people are buying into a victim mentality because when you surrender your power to someone else, you are becoming a victim. And obviously there are fair points in everybody's life when you were a victim and it just happened. Like when people get molested, when people are in abusive situations, when people anything, hate crimes, any types of situations can amount to somebody being put into being a victim. The thing is, after that first initial blow, after that first incident, how many times after that is it you actually just surrendering your power away? Because at one point in time, you got frozen in being a victim. It's like the trauma happens to us, we freeze in it, and then we move forward and put that imprint on everything that happens to us. And of course, it's like the initial thing that happened to you, that initial moment, is this live going to be made public? Yes, it will. Yes, it will. That initial moment, it's like, yes, obviously, that person, you have to acknowledge that. You have to be accountable for somebody did something to me. But after that first time, it's like, bruh, now you're projecting it. You're perpetual. I can't say the words. I know what I'm talking about. I've been learning Spanish and other languages because I'm over English because that is not it shouldn't have been my tongue's first language. So I just be like, forget English. So y'all gonna have to bear with me. But the point is, most people are buying into a victim mentality. Most people are fraudulent because most people are giving away their power or manipulating others into allowing them to hide behind them. It's like, oh goodness, what's up? What type of content is this? Some raw, real truth content. That's what it is. We're having a conversation about what it really means to be yourself in a world where you are programmed and taught and basically pumped inside of you to be fraud. Where fraudulence is kind of the status quo. Where people being numb, people not really being connected to their own feelings and their own spirits, that those to me are ways that people are fraudulent. When you walking around buying in to information and data and programming and habits that were giving to you by other people, whether it be, and also things that you just naturally come with. There's some stuff that we are obviously birthed with. Get into astrology, stuff like that. You obviously know that we are predisposed to certain qualities and characteristics. That's what it means to be a spiritual being, learning to have a human experience. You're learning how to carry what it means to be selfish. You're learning how to carry what it means to be self-centered. You're learning how to carry those things, but to have accountability and authority over those types of qualities. Because in some places, selfishness comes up. And it can come up in a healthy way. The ego is not a bad thing. The ego is something that protects you. It protects you, but most people acquire their ego when they are in survival mode. And so your ego usually is protecting you from things that it thinks is going to hurt it. Most people are walking around thinking somebody is going to hurt them, or somebody is going to take their power away, or somebody is going to belittle their voice or doing something, feeding into this toxicity, feeding into everything. Oh, Efrain Fernandez, you about to have to go, bro, because I'm clearly black. So, I mean, why would you even say something like that in my chat? Just leave. If what I'm saying doesn't resonate to you, then go. But I'm black, so my skin doesn't turn off. So, even bye. Nonetheless, ego, it's not a bad thing. But when you use your ego to stay in your shadow self, that's when it becomes a problem. The shadow self is not bad. The shadow self is a part of you. Some people believe that when they die, they're going to go see Jesus in the sky or God in the sky. And when you go see God in the sky, God is going to be like, I want all of you. Whatever that creation story for you is. If you believe that we have multiple lives and you're a person who's like, I'm going to come back or not come back for another life, that all is based on whether during this lifetime you operated in your fullness, in all of you, light and dark. Now is the time for us to face our shadows, because those are parts of ourselves. Now is the time for us to own and be accountable for the ways in which we participate in giving away our power. It is very easy to get caught up in this energy and to just want to fight the system, to want to fight the man, to want to fight the other, to want to blame, to want to be codependent and put your own life in somebody else's hands. That's the trap, y'all. It's very easy to get caught up in that. But no, we have been sat down. We have put in a place to reflect, to not only reflect these structures and systems, but to reflect ourselves. Now is the time for people to be really sitting with themselves, to really be looking deeply into your own eyes, to really be seeing the ways in which this very system that you want to destroy and want to see change, how is that inside of you? How are you participating in upkeeping that system, whether it be in a larger cultural standpoint, whether it be because I'm black and I'm talking to black people standpoint. I'm talking to everybody, but my experience is black, brown, indigenous, so that's who it goes to first. So how are you participating in letting your stereotypes and your whatever? How are you participating? How are you participating? What are you doing to you? How are you giving away your own power? How are you allowing other people to manipulate you? How are you manipulating others? We can't keep just blaming the predators and being mad if we wasn't good at being aware of our territory. You walking into traps and then you want to be mad when the predator jumped. That's what predators do. Predators are always going to seek something to feed off of. But at what point do we stop being such willing vessels? And I mean the collective, because I'm not there. You can't, no, you won't. Y'all know what I'm saying? Exactly. Being comfortable ain't gonna get nobody nowhere. This is a journey and people are skipping the process. People are, I don't know. You have to go through the process. You can't bypass the spiritual work. You can't bypass it. It's not going to work. You have to forgive yourself. You have to forgive yourself. And in order to forgive yourself, you have to be accountable. You have to be accountable. Creating codependency and victimhood just gives you something to hide behind. You have to be willing to allow yourself to be real about the things that you have adopted that are holding you back from living and operating in your fullness. Everybody's fraud. Everybody's fraud. The quicker people can admit that, the quicker everything will at least ease up. At least your perspective can shift a little bit when you realize everybody's just trying to figure it out. Everybody's out here just pretending to be some things and actually being something some of the time, but most of the time people are still just trying to have the courage. Have the courage. Like, I don't know. I just wanted to kind of talk about that. Like, this is really the time for people to get clear about their direction, to get clear about where they are going, who they are, and where they're coming from. It's really the time for people to get clear, to find direction, find purpose, know who you are, know your shadow sides. Nobody can use something against you to manipulate you or to control you if you've already conquered it. If you've already looked that demon in the eye, nobody can use it against you. If you've already conquered it. And no, I'm not speaking to people in a way where I'm telling people to go and be better than. No, I want you to be healed. I want you to not be triggered. I want you to not need to manipulate or yourself or others in order for you to take up space in a room. I want you to be able to know yourself before you know somebody else. I want you to be clear on who you are, to be clear on your identity. That's why I'm saying what I'm saying. Like, you can take it or leave it. Like I said, if none of the stuff that I'm saying don't resonate, if you think I'm just talking, whatever. I mean, I probably am. Who knows? But at the end of the day, it's your choice. Like, it's your choice. I'm just offering some perspective, some stuff that I'm learning with myself. Because as much as people want to forget, this is still spiritual warfare. And right now is not the time for everybody to just be putting stuff out into the world. Now is the time for us to be slowly being active. Like, the North Node is in Gemini right now. When you think about astrology, North Node, South Node. So the South Node represents your past life energy. It represents your childhood energy. It represents energy you've cultivated a lot over time. So much that you kind of overuse that energy. That's your South Node. So then your North Node represents the energy that you need to be leaning into more in this lifetime, this experience, this moment, in your adulthood. It's what you grow into. And if you can find a happy balance between the two, that's usually the best point. But in order to even get from this end to this end, you have to swing that way. Like, you have to, there's always going to be one extreme to the other. So your South Node, your North Node. The goal is to be able to fuse them together and use them both in a healthy way. But for right now, the collective energy, the North Node is in Gemini. Like, Gemini. Okay, let me tell you some of the qualities and stuff that means that people are kind of healing and having to deal with right now. And it really is all about how you fit in with the collective and how you fit in with yourself. But how to do that in a healthy way. Like, that's the stuff that we're having to do right now. Most people, tendencies that collectively we're dealing with: self-righteousness, aloofness, assuming others know where they're at. Like, assuming people just already got it together and not having compassion for people, needing to be right, exposing the truth without taking other views into account. I'm telling y'all, it's a lot of false prophets right now. There's a lot of people out talking and saying stuff, and they just talking out their asses for real. Because everybody wants to be heard. Everybody wants to be seen. Everybody wants to make a lot of noise. So nobody's like, so they can think people ain't paying attention to them. But y'all heard that the loudest nigga in the room is probably the one that y'all need to look away from. So everybody just out. Just think about the firecrackers popping off right now. It's so many things trying to distract everybody from just being present and hearing. Thinking about it, the fact that we're in the age of Aquarius. Aquarius is information. And that doesn't just mean like what you can look up on Google. That means Aquarius is a very intuitive, it's a sign that literally is like the visionary, the seer. Like, it just sees because it is essentially basically living in the future. It is like a vessel and a bridge that is like a heightened level of connecting material and spirit, intuition and action, feminine energy and masculine energy. It's just this very like androgynous energy that just moves and just knows because it's there, it's tapped in. So thinking about the fact that we are collectively being able to talk to your guides, being able to talk to your ancestors, it is a clear portal right now. Like, it's a clear portal with the North Node being in Gemini. What is Gemini? Gemini is Mercury. Gemini is the communicator. Gemini is that energy that is essentially tying all of that information together. So now is the time for us to be sitting and listening and observing. There's so many planets in retrograde. Like, That's going inward. That's using the energy for yourself. Like, what are y'all not getting? Like, this is the time to sit with yourself, to know thyself, to know thyself, to know your inner child, to have a healed self. This is the time to be healed. This is when it goes back to spiritual warfare, this is the time where you should be getting up your ammo, because this 2020 was nothing. 2020 is going to be the year where it's like, I wish I had paid attention. I wish I had sat still. I wish I had came up with a plan. I wish I had got some direction. Because if y'all think the stuff that's happening now is crazy, just wait. Wait on it. I'm telling y'all. This is the time to face yourself. To face yourself. To face yourself. To face yourself. It's the time to face yourself. I'm live, so my voice might be a little crusty. Other attributes of having Gemini North Node: taking shortcuts, acting on intuition without checking the facts, not being grounded in that, resisting ideas that are foreign to one's belief system, prejudging present situations on the basis of past experience, resisting ideas that are foreign to one's belief system. That sounds like everything that's happening in the world right now, even when you think about the politics. Like, people hear some stuff that's outside of their comfort zone and they're like, I'm not gonna mess with that. You hear stuff about yourself that's outside of your comfort zone. Somebody walk up and tell you, like, bruh, you a little selfish, or you a little this and that, and because you don't want to hear it because it's making you uncomfortable, it don't resonate, and you just throw it away. But now is not the time for that energy. Now is not the time for ignorance. Let that go. Let that die. Let that die, y'all. It's not the time. Now is the time to get uncomfortable so you can be prepared for when it really hit the fan, okay? Because it's going to hit the fan. If you don't expose yourself, I'm telling you, God will expose you. And if God don't expose you, your ancestors are going to expose you. And if your ancestors don't expose you, then your spirit guides is. And if they don't get to you, then these humans is going to expose you. So you might as well expose yourself. Know thyself. Illuminate light unto thyself. Emancipate yourself from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our mind. Have no fear for atomic energy, for none of them can stop the time. Bro, free yourself. Save yourself. This is the time to save yourself. This is not the time to sacrifice. This is not the time to be a martyr. This is not the time to be out here just giving out all pieces of you willy-nilly. Like, this is the time to save yourself. This is the time to preserve. This is the time to be canon into whatever. Plant some seeds. Imagine. Daydream. This is how you know yourself. I'm giving y'all the tools. Like, I'm giving y'all the tea. It might sound like I'm speaking in parables, but if you can hear me, you can hear me. Ginger, lime and ginger in my cup. I got lime and ginger. There's still some people hanging with me. Y'all, this is my first live. I'm going to do more of them, but not all the time, but sometime. I'm going to just move when the spirit moves me. That's all I can say. So that could be every day. That could be once a month. Who knows? I'm going to just move when the spirit moves me. But I am putting more content and more stuff out into the world, y'all. I'm just going to do it very intentionally. Like we should do all things. How to be yourself in a world full of frauds. It's to be real. It's to be authentic. Within ourselves, the only way you can find spaciousness within yourself is if you are willing to let go. It's time for us to get rid of creative blocks. It's time for us to find true love within ourselves, to know that true love is the love that comes from life and God. True love is not something that is transactional. You do not have to do anything or be anything to get love. Love is promised. Love is the only thing that is unshaken. It is promised. Love is God. You can't, like, for us to even think that we have some type of control over God. Like, you can control love. Like, you can determine whether or not somebody gets to receive love based on your pettiness. Like, that's for y'all to even think love is that small or petty. Y'all got a lot of waking up to do. You know what I'm saying? Like, You have to connect back to life. It is no longer the time to cling to dead things. It is no longer the time to speak death and negativity over your life. It is no longer the time. We have to find spaciousness. We have to make it God's. We have to forgive ourselves. We have to allow ourselves to travel to mindsets and perspectives outside of our norm. It's the time to know. That's how you know yourself. That is how you know yourself in a world full of frauds. That is how you release the fraudulence in you, is you become accountable. You forgive yourself. When I did forgiveness work, even around my own molestation, I forgave the people who molested me. I forgave. And I was like, years later, I was like, why is still some type of little tingle in there? Because I didn't forgive myself. Like all the stuff I told myself about being silly, about being gullible, about how I felt about my body afterwards, secretly thinking I was disgusting. I had to forgive myself for thinking I was disgusting. But you have to be accountable and acknowledge that you even had that thought in the first place in order to forgive it. Like, if I don't admit that I tell myself I'm ugly, how can I forgive myself for it? That's what it means to not be fraud. It's to be real. It's to be real about even the things that you don't want nobody to see. If you want to take control, or not even control, because we don't want to control. If you want to be in collaboration with your ego versus your ego running you and ruling you, you have to be able to illuminate light unto your ego. Stop letting it live in the closet. Stop letting it live in the shadows. That's all I'm saying. I don't want to be too long though. This was a good first time. Shout out to the people who came into the room. Cause I could keep going and 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 going. I can keep going. I can keep going. I can keep going. This is still kind of awkward and weird to me, but I'll get more comfortable, y'all. I'm usually way more on key than that. Yeah. But I'm grateful for everybody who tapped in. You know, if you would like to, book a session with your girl. I'm teaching people the art of transformation, helping people to become healed healers, helping people. I'm holding space because I don't really do nothing. I just hold space for you to hold space for yourself. So book a session, birth chart readings, intuitive readings, or just let me channel that good energy for you. Channel some love. Like I do energy work. I don't know, y'all. This is just the time. This is the time. That was a shameless plug. I shouldn't even. It doesn't really matter. Y'all don't have to book sessions with me. Y'all just need to wake up. Like, y'all just need to wake up. Wake up. Wake up. Wakey, 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 wakey. And that's all for real. Like, that's all. It's time to wake up. And if you're not waking up, then, obviously I'm not talking to you. And, to your journey. But to the ones who have found this message, to the ones who know that they are here to live and to live gloriously and to thrive and to not survive, I'm talking to you then. Because that's also with this energy about being a healed healer, about letting go of your wounds and allowing your soul to actually be out of the process of healing and just be full of life and no longer be numb. You have to really be willing. You just got to be willing. I can't even finish what I was going to say. You just got to be willing. You just got to be willing. No agenda. How y'all feeling? For the people who are still here, before I just log off, how y'all feeling? Obviously, y'all could donate, drop to my Cash App, So Lay So Ill, if you feeling giving. If you want to help an artist shaman out in the jungle, it's going to get done regardless. But I'm just saying, if you want to join this blessing, go ahead. That's it. I'm really going to wrap it up now. I'm grateful for everybody who joined. Shout out to y'all. Shout out to y'all. Shout out to y'all. Shout out to y'all. Yeah. It's the Hood Alchemist bringing you the art of transformation infused with so much flavor, y'all, and so much culture. So much culture, y'all. Flavor and culture, y'all. Hit the subscribe button, like this video. Let me know what you think about this topic, about this idea and this concept of being yourself in a world that doesn't give us really space to do that, in a world that has never taught us what it means to stand and ground in our bodies and in our energy and in our identity, in our ancestors, in anything. It's never really taught us to ground into anything. So my prayer for you is that you can be more like the trees, be more like water, be more like fire, be more like air, that you can find home and peace within your own body, that you can take back authority and power over your voice and spirit, that you can become one with life, that you can live outside of your trauma, that you can live outside of your trauma. That is my prayer for you. That is my prayer for you. That is my prayer for myself. Peace to y'all. Peace, 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 peace. All the love, all the love, all the love and gratitude. Hood Alchemist out. Yes, indeed.